Hello, my name is Jim Laurel, and this is Multimodal Interactive Paint. This software was designed to test and verify the limitations of multiple input multimodal on a single software program. We used a multimodal painting application so we can actually see how the input renders on the screen and what process the input needs to go through in the software's rendering of its input information. Here we can see a little bit of the multimodal at work, where we have 10 inputs starting up on the canvas and then 10 inputs being updated. One of the great things about this program, it's the seamless interaction between all 10 inputs at the specific time, where you don't see any lag, delay, or any issues in the software system handling all 10 of the inputs. For a painting application, this could be very valuable because you might want to work on several instances of the painting application and have several people work and share their design or their drawings, and this will allow that to happen at the same moment, so no canvas is going to automatically update with lines that weren't created immediately. And this gives us a good reason to test and see how the multiple inputs are being taken into account and how the multiple inputs are being rendered and displayed simultaneously to show that it is a fast and seamless process. We also see that it is a fully functioning paint application. You have the shapes, the colors, the eraser, and just multiple abilities you could do with the canvas. One of the things I want to take into account is how the program is broken up. It has a single mode. The single mode gives you a little bit more brush options that allow for a variety of colors, shapes, styles, widths that all take into account when one user is implementing a painting application. And then we have the multimodal mode that kind of extends the canvas, and it reduces a little bit of what type of brushes and what shapes and what styles a pen could do, because of the fact that we have 10 pens and each user might want to have a different pen style, a different pen width. So we made this program fix that issue by assigning one pen style, one pen brush, and having every user, up to 10 users, use the same style of pens on the canvas. So a couple of user stories we're going to go into. One of them is the multimodal mode. This is the canvas that takes into account the up to 10 inputs, and you can have 1, 2, 3, anywhere. It doesn't have to be 1 or 10, but we usually say between 1 and 10, and there's no difference between 1 or 10. All the pens are going to go on the same canvas. They're going to render at the same time. There's going to be no lag and no delay. Another thing we want to take into account was the fact that if you're in single mode, you might want to have more options to control your specific paintbrush because you're the only one on that canvas. And we implemented a few more of the Qt widgets to allow the painting application to be a better functioning one. We did unit testing for most of this application, where we wanted to make sure that every single point and every single user story fits into what a painting application wants to do, and fits into the fact that you will have multiple inputs that need to be handled immediately and seamlessly. To finish up, some of the technologies that we used were C++, Qt, GitHub, Visual Studios, and Mingle. Mingle is where we shared what aspect and where we had our Scrum meetings. Shared what aspect of the code we were going to work on and had our Scrum meetings. GitHub is where we actually shared the code. Visual Studios is the program we use to compile and run the code, and C++ is the language the code is in. Qt is a very powerful framework that helped us with the imaging, the cross-platform, and to reduce the dependencies. Other painting applications in the past have had various dependencies that create issues once the multimodal aspect is introduced. Qt helped us limit those dependencies, and it gave us an abundance of widgets that allow the event handling and the touch events to become a seamless interaction. And we used Qt 5.8, however, any version from 4.8 and above is supported by the current software system. Let me show you a quick example. Here we have the multimodal painting aspect. The reason I'm showing this part is because it's what takes into account the biggest part of the project. As we see, I can start drawing a single line. The way that the program works is it takes into account the pressure and the girth of the input device to see how the design is being drawn. That was a 1 pen, 2, and then we can have up to 5. As you see, There was no lag, there was no delay. All the 5 inputs were taken into account at the same time. And then we could just clear the screen to show a couple more features. That is 10 pens at once. And like I said, there's no distinction between the first and the last pen to touch the screen. As long as all the pens touch, all the pens are being updated, all the pens are being released, we kind of see how it works. If we have 1 pen down, 2 pens drawing, we see that the first pen was still able to make its mark, and the other 2 pens made their mark, again, seamlessly and without impacting each other. We have our save, open, close options as well. And that is pretty much introduction to multimodal interactive paint. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.